Well, good evening. How are we sounding tonight? We sounding pretty clear from the back? Awesome. Just want to make sure that the mic is working tonight. For many decades, humans have found many forms of fun or pleasure. Video games, toys of all shapes and sizes, fidget spinners, and movies of all different kinds too. From dramas and love stories, like the Titanic, to scary horror movies, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I kid you not is being re-screened in movie theaters this Halloween. One of my favorite movies, of course. So the sermon type that I have titled is The Horrors of the Idol. So we're going to look at this first by looking at the law that goes against idols. We are going to look at Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 4. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 4. So a little backstory. We had a guy for one of our travels actually show up, and what he did is that he said that anyone who could quote all the 10 Commandments would give us $100. Do I have any takers out here who can tell me all those this evening?
Do you have $100?
No, I can send it to you. Just kidding. Chapter 20, verses 1 through 4. Then God gave the people all these instructions. I am the Lord your God, who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. As you guys know, if you looked into the book of Genesis and read the story of Moses, the people of the Israelites were enslaved. And they have now left the place where they were slaves. Verse 3. You must not have any other gods but me. Sounds pretty reasonable enough. But then we get to the meat of the law. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on earth or of the sea. So what images do we have today? If we were to take some of the things that are mentioned in this passage. I think some of the things that come to mind are certain people. The first thing I thought was American Idol. We see our phones, some of the technology we have becoming idols. I mean, how many times have you actually set down your phone this week? Twice? 3 times? It gets harder and harder, doesn't it? Because we just seem to be so attached to it because that's how we communicate with people these days. What about money? I think a lot of times we have a lot of that on hand, and we like to buy stuff. I mean, who doesn't? Do you have any idols? The Israelites had a couple, but we're going to talk about only the first one today. Exodus chapter 32, verses 1 through 6. The golden calf. Exodus chapter 32, verses 1 through 6. When the people saw how long it was taking Moses to come back down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. Come on, they said. Kind of like a nagging teenager. Come on. I want the keys already. I want to go out and do stuff with my friends. Make us some gods who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses. He probably died. Who brought us here from the land of Egypt. So Aaron said, take the gold rings from the ears of your wives and sons and daughters, and bring them to me. All the people who took the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. Then Aaron took the gold, melted it down, and molded it into the shape of a calf. When the people saw it, they exclaimed, O Israel, these are the gods who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Aaron saw how excited the people were. Yay! We finally have God! But it was not the right God. What did it say in chapter 20? You shall have no other gods but me. They weren't doing a very good job listening, were they? Verse 6. The people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. After this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan revelry. These people had clearly lost their way and were losing their patience with Moses. They made this calf of fine jewelry, some of the things that they even brought out of Egypt, which I find interesting because they were slaves with the people of Egypt. It was beautiful to look at, but then overall, it was misleading. Have you done anything like this before? Have you made anything an idol? So the main theme for this is to turn away from those things. Turn away! And turn back to God. Or get caught and be punished accordingly. Exodus chapter 32 again, now verses 7 and 8. It didn't take long for their God to get noticed. The Lord told Moses, "Quick! Go down the mountain. Your people whom you brought from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted down gold and made a calf, and they have bowed down and sacrificed to it. They are saying, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.'" So God clearly caused people red-handed. I don't know, if you guys ever stuck your hand in a cookie jar when you weren't supposed to? Not very fun when you get caught, is it? But they were just caught. God could hear them all the way up in the clouds. Yay, we got God! It was the same thing that happened to me not too long back. Video games were something that were very popular for teenagers, and they're still popular today. And it seems like each year I look back, and it's like younger and younger, the kids keep getting more addicted into these things. Well, I remember when I used to play hours on end. My parents would tell me to go to bed at night. You are going to bed right now, shut off that device. No getting up, no playing. I thought I was clever. I really thought I was. About 2 hours later, when I hear their bedroom door shut, oh, they're asleep now. I can go and play. Turn it back on and play for an extra hour. Then I hear somebody coming into the hallway. Oh no, they're coming to get me. Open the door, and I quickly scurry back in bed. I was caught. They'd turn on the light, and they'd see me, but then Jeffrey would be sleeping off at a corner somewhere because we shared a bedroom. What are you doing? You should be in bed. Sorry, it won't happen again. No video games for the week. Boy, did I learn my lesson that day. So again, turn away and turn to God. Make the right choice. Exodus 32, verses 9 and 10. We see what could have happened if God stuck to his original punishment for the Israelites. Then the Lord said, "I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are." Kind of reminds me of yourself sometimes. when you're doing that wrong thing. Now leave me alone, so my fierce anger can blaze against them, and I will utterly destroy them. Then I will make you, Moses, into a great nation. Very dramatic, and God had the right to be. So we see that God, hated his people. This has now been several times that the people of Israel kind of turned against God. How many times have you had your parents have to tell you, stop doing that. Stay away. Go to bed. And sometimes the punishments seem to be severe in the specific moment. And again, I think like a parent, God was kind of the same way. He was angry. He planned to kill all of them. A huge punishment. But Moses steadied God's hand. Verses 11 through 14, and then 19 and 20. But Moses tried to pacify the Lord his God. "Oh Lord," he said, "why are you so angry with your own people, whom you have brought from the land of Egypt, with such great power and such a strong hand? Why let the Egyptians say their God rescued them with the evil intention of slaughtering them in the mountains and wiping them from the face of the earth? Turn away from your fierce anger. Change your mind about this terrible disaster you have threatened against your people. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You bound yourself with an oath to them. You promised, saying, I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars of heaven, and I will give them all this land that I have promised to your descendants, and they will possess it forever." Verses 19 and 20. When they came near the camp, Moses saw the calf and the dancing, and he burned with anger. He could relate to God's wrath. So he took the calf and they had made and burned it. Then he ground it into powder and threw it into the water and forced the people to drink it. I don't know about you, but gold in your water, that sounds pretty difficult to drink. But it was a punishment nonetheless. Moses was able to save the Israelites from what could have been a worse situation. They could have been all wiped out right then and there. So have you ever been rebuked or called out before? Has this happened to you? It doesn't feel good, does it? And again, punishment was given in verses 19 and 20. And again, I think we have those kind of punishments that happen in our own lives. We don't want to remember them, but we do because they taught very valuable lessons nonetheless. So we learned our lessons. The Israelites learned the lessons that day. So again, turn away from those wicked ways and turn to God. So to conclude, the Israelites to the people of today, we all make mistakes. And we all have those things that can bring us down. But we are stronger than that. We can turn away and turn to God. Romans chapter 3, verse 23. The last bit of scripture we're going to read for tonight. And this kind of shows how powerful the lessons were from Old Testament to New. We see that certain things, even mistakes, are repeated, but again, those lessons are learned. Romans 3, verse 23. For everyone has sinned. We all fall short of God's glory and standard. Yet God, with undeserved kindness, verse 24, declares that we are righteous. He did this through Jesus Christ, when he freed us from the penalty for our sins. This does not mean that we just need to keep on sinning. That just because Jesus saved us, we are just given the free pass. We need to keep pushing on and realize, hey, there are still some things that are in our lives that we need to turn away from and turn to God. So what is the lesson that we can take from these scriptures? We need to make sure that things of this world do not take higher priority than God. Put God first in your life. Ask yourself, is God number one in my life? If not, maybe it is the time you do.